Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
I'm great, Aubrey. How's everything going on your end today?
Excellent. It's a beautiful day here in Arizona, and I'm so happy to be recording.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But I have a question. You ready?
Yes.
So do you have any language pet peeves, any words or phrases that you hear people use and they really get under your skin? Anything
I
drives you
do
nuts?
have one. I'm curious if you listeners have heard this, that sometimes in the States, at least, people will say irregardless when they mean regardless. This actually isn't a word or not anymore. It is really grating to me. There aren't very many. Usually I'm not bothered by even grammar errors, whatever, but something about this word irregardless really gets under my skin.
This one for you is nails on a chalkboard, right, Aubrey?
It really is. Yes.
Okay.
And it is related today because we are talking about words that begin with that IRR prefix. There are quite a few mistakes that are made with this. We're going to give you all the tips you need, but none of them are annoying to me, like irregardless is.
Good to know. We all have the little things we get annoyed about. And then if we hear those more often, that we get even more annoyed about them, right? So good.
Yeah, but this is part 3 of a series, so be sure to stay to the end. We'll share details for the other 2 episodes. If you miss them, you can definitely listen to these out of order.
All right, good. I'm looking forward to getting into this. So where do we start today, Aubrey?
Yeah, so as you know, usually means not, like unhappy, unfair. And IRR, has the same meaning as in, which we've spoken about in this series, but it's used for ease of speech, which is interesting because words that start with R are difficult to pronounce with in, like irregular, irresponsible, are so awkward for our mouths. So we have instead this IRR prefix, even though it has that same meaning as in.
Nice. So there's a reason why we use the IRR. That makes sense to me. It's hard to form certain words, and so they probably shouldn't exist, right? Because we need to have our language be smooth and focused on connection. So before we go any further, Aubrey, I want to remind our listeners to hit the follow button right here on the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. Guys, in November and December, we're publishing bonus episodes on Fridays and you don't want to miss them. So make sure you are hitting follow in your podcast player so they'll drop right into your queue.
Yes, and they're good episodes. We've recorded a couple of them already and I really loved them. So be sure to hit follow so you don't miss any of them.
Absolutely. So let's start with the first one, Aubrey. Which one are we talking about first?
Yeah, so this is kind of tricky pronunciation, irreparable. So this is really tricky because it's a very different sound from repair, and it's spelled differently as well, right? Repair has that A-I-R, and the I is missing from irreparable. So when you're writing this, as well as when you're pronouncing it, it's kind of unexpected.
Yeah, the stress is completely different, right? So repair, the stress is on the second part of the word, but irreparable, the stress is on the second syllable. Yeah.
Irreparable. Yeah. And then it's you would think that you could say irreparable, but no.
You would think so, but no.
Because repairable, we say, right? But then when we add that IRR, we really change the pronunciation. Irreparable.
So here's some examples. After the heated argument, their friendship suffered irreparable damage and they eventually stopped speaking. Yeah, they had a falling out, right?
Or spreading rumors can cause irreparable harm to someone's reputation. And interestingly, every now and then we'll hear native speakers even make the error unrepairable or unreparable. And it actually is listed in the dictionary, as some dictionaries, as acceptable. But I've never heard anyone say it. At least in the States, this is not common. I would always hear irreparable.
Yeah, I agree. Go with the ear. Yeah, learn this now and remember it. Irrefutable. Ooh, sounds very fancy. Sounds like a fancy word.
This is impressive vocabulary, right? It means impossible to deny or disprove. And similar to unrepairable, unrefutable is in some dictionaries, but again, not used commonly. I would say irrefutable, and that is what I hear as well in the States.
Okay. Yes. So the auditor provided irrefutable proof of the company's financial compliance.
Or our market research offers irrefutable evidence that there is strong demand for this product. So often we'll hear it collocated with these words. Irrefutable proof, irrefutable evidence means it cannot be proven untrue.
Nice. And then the next one is irreplaceable. Really important to say that something, is precious to you, right?
Yes, it could not be replaced. Exactly. And similarly, in some dictionaries, you will see unreplaceable listed as a possible way to say this, but it's not used commonly in the States. I say irreplaceable, and that is also what I hear. What do you think, Lindsay?
Yeah, I think irreplaceable. Let's go with that one after we've listened to today's episode.
Yep,
that's what
absolutely.
we recommend.
This is this is one of those things where you can't trust the dictionary, because if you just looked this up, you'd be like, oh, perfect, unreplaceable. Nobody says that. At least not in the States.
No. I think what people actually say here is priceless. It's not exactly the same thing, but I feel like it fills that common gap of meaning sometimes.
Yeah.
This is
Here's
priceless.
some examples I'll share. I'd be devastated if I lost the necklace my grandmother gave me. It's completely irreplaceable. And I could say priceless. It is priceless.
Not exactly the same thing.
I kind of want to share, it's literally irreplaceable. Yeah. Like my grandmother gave it to me. They don't make it anymore.
It's a family heirloom. You can't go to the store. It's not that it doesn't matter how much it costs, which is what priceless means. It's that you could never get a replacement. Right?
Yeah, it literally could not be replaced.
Here's another example. After Sarah left the company, we realized just how irreplaceable she was to the team. Yes.
Yeah. And this is another example where you couldn't say priceless. You wouldn't call a person priceless, but we would call them irreplaceable when we realize, how much value they bring.
Sure. Absolutely. All right, Aubrey, what's next?
And then just as a bonus, we want to throw in regardless, which a lot of people do add that IRR prefix, but that's actually not a word, irregardless. It's actually a double negative, because regardless by itself has the same meaning that people are trying to get when they say irregardless.
Exactly. So for example, I'm going to support her regardless of whether I agree with her decision or not.
Or she dressed casually regardless of the black tie dress code.
Nice. Okay, Aubrey, let's go through a role play now. So here you and I are discussing the falling out. And again, that's a bonus expression for today. What does that mean again?
That means something has gone wrong. They are fighting and they haven't made up yet, right? If there's a falling out, there's been some kind of a fight, a rift in their relationship. And usually if they're saying, oh, there's been a falling out, it means it hasn't been fixed yet.
Yes, exactly. All right. So we're talking about a falling out of some of our mutual friends. So that's kind of awkward when your friends have a falling out and you can't hang out as a group anymore.
And you feel like you have to take sides.
Yeah, that's not good. Or when there's a breakup and then you have to take sides of which, who you're going to be friends with.
That's the worst when two friends start dating and you're worried if it doesn't work out. What's going to happen? Am I going to have to choose just one of you?
Oh, no. All right, here we go. Did you hear about what happened between Lisa and Jenny?
Yeah, I hope they can fix things. But honestly, it seems like the damage might be irreparable.
I know. Once trust is broken like that, it's really hard to rebuild. And the screenshots Lisa showed me, they were irrefutable. There's no way to deny what was said.
I really hope they figure it out. At our age, good friendships are irreplaceable.
I think Lisa will forgive her regardless of everything Jenny said. Ooh, that's true. Good. Hard.
Yeah, sometimes it's tricky I'm like, how can I use all of these in one role play?
Yeah. But it worked. Yeah, so it felt like a realistic conversation to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said, you said, I hope they can fix things quickly, but it seems like the damage might be irreparable. Irreparable.
So I'm saying it might not be fixable. It might not be repairable. And using this word irreparable to say that, it might be irreparable.
Yes. And then what did you say after that? Or what did I say?
Yeah, then you said, ooh, the screenshots Lisa showed me, they were irrefutable. So you're saying you've seen evidence of what was done, that it was, really terrible. You feel like she's justified in being upset, whatever that was. You're saying you can't deny that it was a problem.
Yes. And then I'm making a statement about friendship and age, which I think is very true, right? Yeah. At our age, good friendships are irreplaceable. It's not easy to make friends when you're older. So holding on to your longtime friends is really good to do.
Yeah, we're saying it's worth repairing this damage. We hope they figure it out, especially if it's a long-term friendship. They've been friends a long time. It's worth trying to forgive and move past even very serious infractions.
Yes, for sure. And then the last thing that was said was, I think Lisa will forgive her regardless of everything Jenny said. And we're not adding that ear so that Aubrey's ears can be protected.
Right. Save my ears. This is very common. Where I live in the Mountain West, this is really common. I would likely hear someone say, I think Lisa will forgive her irregardless of everything Jenny said. And sometimes people just have a pet peeve. This is mine.
Okay, fair enough. You're allowed to have, you're pretty
I am
flexible
allowed.
in
I can
other
have one.
ways around. Yeah. So you're allowed to have that. We'll allow you that. It's okay.
At least our listeners hopefully won't use it, recognize.
Sure.
And I think I'm not alone. I have heard, if I share this, some people are like, I know it drives me crazy.
No, yeah, it sounds, yeah.
Doesn't
Okay,
sound
what
good.
are the other episodes in this series, Aubrey, that our listeners should go to?
We don't want you to miss this series. The first one was a Saturday episode, October 25th, called Pesky Prefixes Part 1, Insecurity or Lack of Security. This was a student mistake that inspired this whole series. And then episode 2507, what was that called, Lindsay?
That was called Pesky Prefixes Part 2, Inconvenient English Vocabulary. So fun. This has been such a cool series, Aubrey. It really has.
Yes. And it was crazy as I researched for this, realizing how many words with prefixes that native English speakers mess up, right? Or that the dictionary lists both, which I think is even more confusing depending on where you live. These might be more common in other English speaking countries, but in the States, it would sound like a mistake if someone said like unrepairable. Right.
Yes. No, it's so true. And there are good, there are historical examples. Like I think there was a Bushism that we were talking about that George Bush said, and I'm trying to find it now, but I don't have the time. So maybe we'll do an update on that another day. But there have been some pretty funny things that even presidents have said. I mean,
that's the thing, right? And well-educated people often make these mistakes. So if you make them, don't be stressed out. But it is nice to know what is said commonly. What should I be saying in a job interview? What should I be saying so that people, what is correct?
Exactly. 100%. And where should we leave our listeners here? This is connection, right?
Absolutely. Talking about who or what is irreplaceable in your life, for example. What a great way to connect.
Oh my God, that's huge. This will tell people what you stand for, who you are, what you believe in. So guys, go back and listen to the whole series again. Make sure you've got it. And then go ahead and use these words out in the world. Okay?
Absolutely. Good. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this series.
All right, Aubrey, you take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.